there's
What do we
nowhere for
do?
him to go.
Yeah, a
Yes,
lot of
and I know he's feeling
variables.
that
Yeah.
way too. Absolutely. Someone asked, where is your studio located? So I want to answer some questions while we're going through before I get to your three words.
Well, right now through Zoom. Right now we're offering classes on Saturdays through Zoom. So in your home you can get access to classes. But once this is all over, assuming things do go back to normal and the studio where we were providing classes and remains the same, then we will be currently we have classes in Miami Lakes for children 8 and up, and we have classes in um, like the Kendall area near FIU. And so one of the studios
Okay.
is called Miami Dance City. The other studio is called Salsa Kings. And both of them offer classes for ages 8 and up. Now, I'm the teacher for the babies. I'm the teacher for the classes from ages 3 to 8. My goal is to fundraise enough money to open up my class again, because unfortunately my class was closed because we didn't have enough students, because we didn't have enough funds to
Oh,
give
wow.
enough scholarships, so people had to pay out of pocket. And unfortunately, with the younger population, we do see parents struggle a lot more. There's a lot more therapies, a lot more costs involved. Whereas they get older, that cost lowers a little bit, and we're looking for more social activities. So we had to make the very difficult
Okay.
decision to eliminate our or not eliminate, but temporarily put it on hold until we could raise enough funds to open up our baby class again. Once we do, hopefully it'll be at the
Okay.
Miami Lakes location, which is Miami Dance City Studio.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so please post
My
your
three
questions if you
words.
do have any questions. Audrey's going to tell us her three words that describe what she feels about autism.
Number one, unique. That's the first thing that popped into my mind.
Right.
Unique. Um, I want to say fascinating, but it might like offend people, but I find it fascinating, honestly. I mean, there's a reason why I've been so drawn to working with children on the spectrum. I
Right.
think the way they think and process information is fascinating. They're unique, fascinating, and they're funny. Like I
Yes.
laugh all the time with my students. Like just the things like the not having a filter and the facial expressions and the comments and the noises and the butt. Like to
Yeah.
me, it's just they're so real, and to be around people that are just genuine and real and have no filter is just
Right.
awesome to me. Um,
Oh my God.
so yeah, just finding these children and adults on the spectrum, they're unique. They just see the world in a different lens, and I would give anything to be a day in their mind and try to figure out like you see them analyze something and you're like, what in the world? Like you must see something so beautiful about that
Yeah.
toothpick that you are just staring at it for hours on end.
Yeah.
And I would give anything to understand what that feels like, because I feel like they see the world in a much more colorful, sensory overload experience than we do. And yes, it's painful
Yeah.
for some of our kids. It's too much, and it can become painful. But I still feel like they see things in a very beautiful light too, beyond what we can
Yeah.
comprehend.
I definitely feel that. I sometimes, I remember our first signs of figuring out that he had autism or was on the spectrum was that there were times where he would just sit there and he wanted to organize things in angles. So if it was cars, they all had to be lined up. You imagine you're watching a kid playing with their cars, and generally a kid would play and vroom vroom move around, but he would want the cars to be lined up, and it would be like all of the cars, like if he had 20 cars, they're all, and they must be lined up in a certain way. And if you moved one, it was like, oh no, it has to be, and it wouldn't even be a straight line, it would be like an angle, like 45 degrees or something.
It
Or it
makes
would
sense
be
to
like
him. Yeah.
he would just be sitting and staring at something. Like yesterday we're walking in the house and he stops and he keeps looking, and I'm like, are you looking at the cars? Are you looking at the park? Are you looking at the trees? But he's just frozen. And I'm like, I don't know if he's frozen because we live close to the highway, so you can see the trucks and
Oh,
stuff.
so like
And
you
so
see
that's a
it like
fascination because we,
moving.
Yeah, so we used to sit sometimes by the park, literally just so he can watch the cars and the noises and all that. And it's like he's
Yeah.
lost. And you're talking to him, and you're like, Jeremiah, Jeremiah, and he's just like,
The most common thing
and
that
there's
parents say
no,
is when they're first figuring it out is they always say it's like he's in his own world.
yes,
And that's a very
yes,
telling statement that if you hear that from a parent, you're like, oh, you might want to get them evaluated, because if you start seeing that happen, chances are they might
yes.
be somewhere on the spectrum. Um,
And
because
that's
they get
something I
in
want
their
to
own
talk
world.
about. Signs and things that are significant that parents should be keyed into, because I think a lot of times the stigma of having autism, the fear of what autism means to a family, the fear of what autism means to their child's development makes parents not want to see that there could be something, and I won't use the word wrong. I'll say there could be something different. There could be something that needs to be addressed that's not going to be your typical average kid, right? So, what are some things that you would give parents as a key to thinking about? Not that it's, oh, check off
Right.
these boxes, but what should they be thinking about when they wonder, does my child possibly have signs or symptoms of autism?
The first thing I would say that early on, you do see those atypical patterns for play. Most kids on the spectrum do not play what we call functionally. They're not using the toys for their intended purpose. They're finding their
Right.
own purposes for these toys.
Oh, sorry.
So the example of the car, maybe they're fixating on the wheels and they could just sit there staring at the wheels instead of actually playing with them, lining them up, doing what's called chaining, what Jeremiah would do, lining them up.
Right.
Playing with things that are inanimate objects, a cabinet, a drawer, and they could stay there
Pots and
and they're
pans.
just looking at it, open and
Yeah.
close, and open and close. So it's that repetitive behavior that they're using things not for its intended function, and they're almost like obsessing over their own unique way of examining that object. So that right there could be
Right.
a very early sign when you start seeing them start to play. Um, After that, I feel like a lot of parents start to notice when they become at the age where they could start to talk. A lot of our kids are delayed in their speech. So that I feel like most parents, once they see that, then they start to worry and concern, and you start seeing that kind of come up, and the word autism might cross their minds because they're not talking. Eye contact
Right.
becomes a big, big, big thing. Um,
Right.
if you see them engage in like self-stimulatory behavior, the hand flapping, the walking on the tippy
Yeah.
toes, the rocking back and forth, forward and
They're
back,
rubbing all day.
mouthing, a lot
Yeah.
of licking or putting everything, they'll grab it. Oh, this is a frame, put it on their mouth. Oh, this is a
Yeah.
pen, put it on their mouth. Just to, who knows what they're feeling, but they just do it. So those sensory type of self-stimulatory behaviors, you see that. Um, and then you see it a lot with the social aspect. Myself, I have, and this came after. This isn't my why of starting Arts for Autism, but after the fact, I found out my nephew is on the spectrum, and that was one of the main
Wow.
things. Was my daughter is a year and a half younger than him, and she would want to roll the ball back and forth and come looking for us, and she would want to interact, where he would be off in a corner rolling the ball and just looking at
Right.
the ball and not even be interested
Right.
that there's anybody else there. So things like that, these are definite cues and red flags. It doesn't say for sure, oh, my kid walks on tippy toes, he's autistic. That's not what I'm saying by any means. A lot of kids
Right.
walk on their tippy toes, and
Right.
that's fine. Um,
Right.
but when you start seeing these different categories where you're seeing a lot of problematic behaviors, where the tantrum is not a few minutes, the tantrums last an hour, and they're throwing things,
Yeah.
they're more intense, they're longer. Then you start seeing the issues with the socialization, the eye contact, the not interested in other peers, other children of their own age. And you start seeing the delayed in their speech. You're combining all these things together, you might want to get them
Right.
evaluated. Yeah.
Absolutely. So in putting that with the current circumstances with this
I can't even
COVID-19 and the
imagine.
quarantine, and I can't do my routines, and
Ooh,
I can't, the basic day to day, just imagine a regular week, with your average kid. Hey, no school. All right, no school,
right.
right? For a period of time, and then you might want to go back. But with the kids that they know, Monday, I'm putting on my uniform, book bag, getting in the car. Dad's like in my situation, dad's gonna stop and grab me some food. And there's these series of things that happen every single day. We drive down this street, we drive down that street, we turn onto the highway, we get to the school, my teacher comes out and gets me. It's the whole thing, right? It's like it's
Yeah.
glue. So now you unseam all of that, and I have to be home every day with the family that I normally only see for a fraction of each day, right? How does a parent deal with this? Like, what suggestions do you have for parents to cope with this?
The main
This is
thing, number
trauma.
one, my heart go out to all of you, because if I don't